to this episode of Kyber Clips. I'm Mike Giuffrida, President of Kyber Security, joined today by Bob Thomas, Virtual Chief Information Security Officer for Kyber and our clients. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you having me.
It's today's topic is the CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. It's quite a mouthful. We're going to talk a little bit about the differences between version 1.0, which came out back in early 20, late 19, to version 2.0, which is the current version going into effect officially July 1st of this year, 2023.
Okay. Announced in late 2021. That's when that hit the street.
And nothing happens fast, does it?
No, it does not.
So let's talk about some of the differences between 1.0 and 2.0.
Sure.
Why don't you hit me with one or two of the key differences that we're seeing?
So I think there was a lot of pushback from the defense industrial base, all the subcontractors and contractors that work in that space, about the difficulty in meeting the certification. The government listened, they reacted, and they've tried to simplify. So it used to be 5 levels, level 1 through 5, in increasing difficulty or compliancy. It is now 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3. Anybody that was at level 3, and I'm picking that one for a reason, is now typically in the level 2 category. That probably makes up 80+% of the contractors and subcontractors in the defense space. So I think they did try to simplify it and accomplished it in that level. Level 2 and level 3 currently, you interact, meaning create, have access to, modify CUI, controlled unclassified information. That's a really big deal to try to protect that information so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. So that's a biggie. And I think the other, you mentioned the time frame, July 1st, 2023. That is kind of a drop-dead date for being awarded new projects and new purchasing by the government. You need to be compliant or have submitted a request for compliancy. I think the other thing that's really important to understand is everything was a yes, no, or in the government's terms, you either met the compliance and the control or you did not meet it. If you did not meet it previously in version 1, you failed. That's it. There was no turning back. You can't say, oh, well, just give me a break and I should be fine. I'll fix those things. That wasn't how it worked. They have now instituted this plan of action and mitigation strategy, POAM, and you can now suggest a point in time where you will fix a control that you don't have in place or put it in place. It is still up to the government as to whether they'll accept that or not, but they are giving you a little breathing room. So if you're not 100% compliant by the middle of this year, you've got a window of time. Usually 6 months is the most they really want to give you.
So I can't just say no on everything and submit it and say, give me another 6 months?
No, it's definitely not going to work that way. There are things that they consider to be high-risk items that you don't have good controls in place. One of them might be they want to know that you've got your data at rest protected. Change the word protected to encrypted is usually what we describe in this scenario. If you're not really protecting the data, meaning encrypting it so that if somebody runs into your office, steals your server, breaks in and gets out with it, they turn that server on, they can't get to it if the data is encrypted. If you didn't encrypt it, they will find a way to get that information off there. That's what the government worries about. Plans of information, construction plans to build something falling into the wrong hands. Missile tracking system falling into China's hands, Russia's hand, North Korea's hands. That's what they don't want to see.
We probably don't want that,
Yeah, that's probably a bad thing.
So let's talk a little bit about the old honor system and how that's evolved.
Yeah, that has definitely changed. So everything up until now, 800, 171 DFARS, that was the previous procurement supplier risk method for rating how a defense company worked, whether it was a little guy making the screws or the nuts that go into an engine assembly, or if it was the prime contractor, Sikorsky helicopter, delivering that helicopter to the DoD. You put together what was called an SPRS, a supplier risk assessment, and you handed it to the government with a score. It was completely on your honor. You filled it out yourself. You didn't necessarily have to engage with anybody or an expert in the field. Now, it is similar on the front end, but you will be audited every 3 years if you are, going back to my earlier comment, touching, creating, deleting, modifying, having access to CUI. You're going to be audited to make sure that that assessment, let's call it risk assessment, was filled out properly and that you do have the controls in place that people believe you do and that you said you do.
I know this process is sort of building the boat as you're going down the river a little bit, as it's still evolving with regard to the auditing, but any indication of what that audit will look like and what kind of experience that'll be for the manufacturer, the end recipient, if you will?
So what we've been hearing is that they are, quote unquote, when I say they, it is the CMMC AB. This is the accrediting board that has the oversight for that. These guys were created and given the power by the Department of Defense. And they will be putting together an audit team. They have a team. They are not fully certified, so they're in a trial mode right now. I think what everybody should expect is that the largest prime contractors or largest subcontractors will be on the initial list for audit. They're not going to chase down the 10-user screw machine factory to try to figure out if you've got your ducks in a row on cybersecurity the first day or second day of it.
July 2nd.
Yeah, that's not, I don't, look, nobody's gonna tell you that, but that's a realistic expectation, I think, at this point. But it's a 3-year window. Once every 3 years, you are going to get audited, period. This isn't like 3 years is gonna turn into 5, 6, 7 years and they'll never knock on your door. It's going to happen. They're going to come into your facility. This is not remote. They will be there on site. They will be looking at every questionnaire that you filled out, how you filled it out, what you said was in place for a control. Now show me. How does that control work?
Now, is that true for all levels, 1, 2, and 3?
That's really a 2 and 3 thing. One is, it is still self-assessment. It is very few controls on that level. There's 15, 16 controls at the level 1 version of this program, and it is a remote verification of the answers. They are not poking and prodding. They're not even asking you at that level to necessarily have policy. They want to see repeatable procedures at that level. So you do something. Is that really how you do it? Okay, show me that you do it that way each time. Okay, good. That's standards is really what they're after at that level. If you're not accessing control and classified information, they're not as concerned. As soon as you have access to that type of plan data for, go back to making a missile or a guidance tracking system, now they're concerned.
So if someone went through an assessment either for DFARS 800-171 or CMMC 1.0, what steps should they take to update that now that we're in 2.0?
So I think the real thing that any firm should start with is a gap analysis. They need to do an assessment of their environment and their controls, and once that's done, it should yield a gap list. Here are 5, 10, 15 things that we really need to have in place. We weren't able to answer the question and say, you asked if we had this control. Well, we really don't. We've looked at it. We've considered it. Okay, how are you going to get there? And then you've got to really prioritize those gaps and determine how you're going to get there, how you're going to meet those. And I think that's the step that takes time, and it takes involvement from a lot of people within your firm. A lot of people will contract that out and find somebody, an expert in the field, to really do that assessment and help them not just understand where their gaps are, but there's 10 ways to meet a control and fill a gap. What's the best way for each individual company to get there?
Gotcha. Well, I hope this information has been helpful for those on the journey to CMMC 2.0 compliance. And thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us on this episode of Kyber Clips.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of Kyber Clips. Hope you enjoyed the information that you got today. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the like button, or comment below. You can always reach out to us at sales@kybersecure.com. Have a great day.